The simple matter of a Frum Jew, Ben Torah especially, to know is that what you want to be is a good Eved Hashem, a servant of Hashem. You can do that better, longer, healthier, years longer, if you take care of your body. And if you're going to take care of your body and exercise it, do one thing first. Know that you're doing it not just to have fun. It's fine to have fun. It's great to enjoy it. But you're doing it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to live long and be strong, be healthy, and be fit in order to serve Hashem longer, healthier, and better.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Frum Health Club Podcast. This week's episode is very special. I sat down with Michael Kaufman, the author of this incredible book, Am I My Body's Keeper? Quite honestly, this was one of the most beautiful and inspirational conversations I've ever had about health. And Michael is such a special person because he doesn't just write about health or speak about health. He lives it, and you can see it. He's 93 years old. He's healthy. He's fit. He's full of energy. It's incredible. And I can't wait for you guys to watch this interview. Enjoy. Very excited to interview you. We've heard so many amazing things actually from people that we've interviewed on our podcast. Many talk about you as their mentor and as someone that really inspired them on their health journey. So it's really a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much for inviting us to your home.
What you're doing is very important. You're bringing to the attention to the Frum population the importance of being healthy and fit. That is fundamental. We were given a directive in the Torah, ונשמרתם לנפשותיכם. We were commanded in all the mitzvahs, amongst all the mitzvahs, ונשמרתם לנפשותיכם. And you'll take very good care of your lives, because without that, the entire Torah is for naught, because the Torah wants us to live and to be healthy in order to perform his mitzvahs. You can't do that when you're not healthy. You can't do that as long if you die before your time. And even if you manage to live long, your end years will be weak and you won't be able to fulfill many mitzvahs. Interestingly, in the entire Torah, there's only one mitzvah that uses the term ma'od. It doesn't say it about lo surtzach, ma'od, or zocher yom Shabbos l'kadosh ma'od. They're important mitzvahs. Why? The answer is that Hashem created a Yetzer Hara. And that Yetzer Hara, the push to do things that are not so good, exists when it comes to things like exercise, for example, meaning a person might decide, I'm going to get healthy, I'm going to get fit, I'm going to go exercise. This is actually January 1st, the secular New Year. You find a very interesting phenomenon. Fitness businesses experience a tremendous push for new membership. Now you must understand something about a fitness business. There are figures that point out that each health club or organization has about 6,000 members. That sounds like a lot, especially when you think about it. The average one can perhaps have 50 or 60 or 70 at a time. What if all 6,000 decide they're going to come at one time? What is he going to do? Nothing to worry about. It never happens. Why? Everyone's got great intentions. Everybody knows that exercise is good for you. But few people do it. And especially, unfortunately, as you pointed out, in the Frum world. So everybody lines up to join a health club, a fitness a gym, and they pay ahead of time, either by post-dated checks or by charging their account. And they say, this time I'm really going to meet it. And they pay a lot of money too for this. And the people who run this gym, they do very well at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And the first week or two, everybody wants to come and the gym is crowded.
Yeah.
The second week, people get busy. Sometimes it's only one day, but they manage the rest of the week okay. In 2 weeks' time, they've got appointments coming up that interfere. In 3 weeks' time, they're only going about once or twice a week. Inside of 4 or 5 weeks, they can't do it. Their schedule is much too busy. And those post-dated checks keep going. So if anybody's interested enough and says, I want to be healthy, I want to buy an exercise machine, the best time to do this is about March or April. You're going to get the used machines, hardly used, at very, very cheap prices, much less than you would pay if you were buying it new.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
HaKadosh Baruch Hu thought, human beings make appointments, they have very important things to do, phone calls to make, and many excuses why not to exercise.
Yeah.
He decided, for this ishtadlus, I need to give an extra push. So it doesn't just say in the Torah, ונשמרתם את נפשותיכם, which one would expect as it is amongst all the other mitzvahs, but it says ונשמרתם מאוד, and you shall very much take care of your bodies.
Yeah.
There's a need for an extra push.
Yeah. Wow. Beautiful. Michael, if you could give our viewers a little bit of an introduction about yourself, and also how did you start on your health journey? Where did all of this start?
Well, I'm originally from the States, born in the Catskill Mountains in Ellenville, New York, and grew up in Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, which was always a Frum area, but after the war, with large numbers of refugees, became a Hasidic center, which it still remains. Attended Yeshiva Mesivta Torah V'das in Williamsburg section of Brooklyn, which became, at the time, the largest yeshiva in the States. And then went on later to the Telze Yeshiva in Cleveland, Ohio. Attended Brooklyn College and the University of Louisville. And my field was writing. But as I grew up as a youngster, as a kid in Williamsburg, we would play sports as children do, run around a lot. And on Shabbos, we would have Shabbos games, which did not involve a lot of running, but about physicality, walking. But in between hours of learning, if we had 15 or 20 minutes, just about everybody played active sports, as did I. And all the Bachurim in yeshiva, meaning the learners as well as those who were less involved in learning. It was just a general thing. No one thought twice about it. You weren't trying to be fit or healthy. You just were doing what was natural.
Yeah.
And kids ran around. As we grew up, we had less time to run around, but most of us continued doing some sports. In my case, my sport was basketball, which I enjoyed, and kept on doing that. So I continued playing basketball and continued being physically active, even after I got married, which is the point where most people who were active eat more,
sit more,
exercise less.
Yeah.
But I continued. That was unusual because unfortunately, most of my chaverim in yeshiva, as they grew older, they also grew considerably heavier and became less active. In any case, that's what happened. Continuing.
Yeah.
I made time for sports or to work out as I grew up. And for me, it was natural. It was not an extraordinary thing to do until this very day. I used to run considerably and had an interesting experience about that, which I cite in my introduction. And I stopped running several years ago, but continue working out and have a daily schedule which begins well before daybreak. I daven at the Nates in Yerushalayim, which begins 15 to 20 minutes before sunrise, the time for the Shmona Esrei. And I have a elliptical light machine. It's called a ski strider, which works out the entire body. Which after I do brachas, I place a Gemara on a stand. I had to photograph it afterwards. And that is I do this for a considerable amount of time while covering a good part of my daily learning as well.
Wow. For how long are you doing it?
I do that for about 30 minutes.
Wow. That's amazing.
But very, very early, well before daybreak. It's on my patio, and there are lights on it, so I can learn easily. And I do it to strong beat music as well. And that begins a whole program of pre-davening exercises. And there I go to, I lift light weights, meaning 8 to 12 pounds usually, for a few minutes, not long. And I also swing weights as well, also not that heavy, about 12 pounds. Then I do push-ups for a time.
Wow.
And then I am fortunate enough to have a gym a few steps away from my home here. It's a small, well-equipped gym, and there is a multi-exercise machine that exercises various parts of the body. I do some of them, but I make it a point to do every day to row. They have a rowing machine there, which again is both an aerobic exercise, that's cardio for the heart, and as well as anaerobic strength exercise. It does the entire body. So this is daily. In addition to which, I try not to sit. I stand and move most of the day. Have not just Svarim on my stender, but I've got my computer on the stender as well.
Wow.
I sit only to eat and to meet with people.
Wow.
I stand when I daven and I shuckle. And the shuckling has a Kabbalistic reasons for it, although it was mentioned by a writer in Vilna in the mid-19th century that it's a means to gain strength and greater spirituality. But I shuckle and I move as I stand. Everything I do, I try to do while standing or moving.
Wow.
The body has about 37 trillion cells, more or less.
Wow.
Those cells must move. they move very slowly when you sleep, but when they stop completely, you're dead.
Yeah.
So I try to make it a point to stay alive and stand as much as I can and move as much as I can.
Wow. Wow, that is amazing and very inspirational. I want to ask you a question about the Frum world and the Frum community in general in terms of health. What do you think and see as the main concern and the main issue of health in the Frum world, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, it has been shown by many large-scale studies that to live longer, you should exercise.
Yeah.
The title of my book, Am I My Body's Keeper? The Way of Torah and Science, Be Healthy and Fit, Lose Weight, Live Years Longer. It has been proven in many studies, large-scale studies, that the person who moves his body, who exercises, who works out, simply lives on average longer than one who does not.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I give sources for these. Nothing in my book do I make up myself.
Yeah.
It's all sourced. There are
Studies.
plenty of notes for a person to go ahead and look further.
Yeah.
So that the simple matter of a Frum Jew, Ben Torah especially, to know is that what you want to be is a good Eved Hashem, a servant of Hashem. You can do that better, longer, healthier, years longer,
Yeah.
if you take care of your body.
Yeah.
And if you're going to take care of your body and exercise it, do one thing first. Know that you're doing it not just to have fun. It's fine to have fun. It's great to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But you're doing it because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants you to live long and be strong, be healthy, and be fit in order to serve Hashem longer, healthier, and better.
Wow. Yeah.
That's why I wrote the book. Frum Jews feel that they're doing what the Torah wants. They're observing Taryab, 612 mitzvahs, and fulfilling their duties as a Jew. But what they are missing is the one mitzvah
Yeah.
that enables you to
Do everything.
perform all the
Yeah.
other mitzvahs.
Yeah.
Now, why? We must go back again to the Yetzer Hara. And the Yetzer Hara sometimes comes up with some very interesting challenges,
Yeah.
especially amongst yeshiva brachim. We'll learn a lot. And a lot of things they know, and some they don't. And they'll also point out, hey, do you know how long Rav so-and-so lived? He lived till his 90s. And Rav so-and-so, he lived till over 100. How much exercise did they do? They're absolutely right. There were Gedolim who did exercise. I mentioned some in my own book who did. But by and large, we don't see that they made exercise a large part of their life. So how do you explain it? Well, first of all, if someone says that to me, I say these are genuinely great Talmidei Chachamim and great tzaddikim. I said, if you feel that you're going to be like they are, by all means,
Yeah.
just continue their way of life and their way of learning, and you live a long time. But what if you're not?
Yeah.
What if you're not going to be like Rav so-and-so who lived well into his 90s? What will your answer be? Hashem gave us a mitzvah, and he gave us the hishtadlus to go ahead and do that properly. And he added the word ma'od, because he knows the Yetzer Hara.
Yeah.
So, however, we are, Baruch Hashem, a smart people. And I find that when people learn genuinely and they're able to see the results of eating healthily, staying fit, exercising, many take to exercise seriously. That's why you're doing what you're doing, and that's why I wrote my book,
Yeah.
Am I My Body's Keeper? And the more people know about what Torah and science have to say, both say the same thing, that if you are healthy and fit, you will be a better, frummer, more observant Torah Jew. They will do it.
Yeah. Wow. So I know, of course, you cite the Rambam many times in the book. What do you think, if the Rambam was alive right now, what do you think he would tell the Frum community in general that we're doing wrong?
The Rambam, who you mentioned, devoted a great deal of time and effort to this very subject. He wrote several books on health and fitness and the importance of eating right and importance of exercising. In fact, he said a very interesting thing. He said two things that I'm going to mention. Number one, he gives rules for diet and exercise, and he makes an amazing statement after that. If you follow my directions to eat well and to exercise well, I guarantee you that you will be healthy and live long. Amazing. Yeah. And he's not concerned about it. He makes another interesting statement. He says both diet and exercise are necessary. But if you can only do one, which should you do? You should, if you exercise, he says, you can even eat junk food.
Wow. And
be healthy. He calls it machalim ra'im, literally bad foods. And in our day, we call junk food.
Yeah, junk food, processed foods.
So that he doesn't say eat junk food, nor am I recommending that anybody eat junk food. You should eat well. You should try to reduce fleischiks. Mm-hmm. That's beef and fowl, and best if you can eliminate it entirely, mm-hmm. and live on vegetables, fruit, nuts and seeds, and healthy foods. But if you can't do that, and you must you have a taiva for junk food, whatever they may be, food with lots of sugar, great amount of pastry and sweets and things, then he says if you must do that, the important thing is to exercise, even if you do eat the bad food, because as the Rambam says, and as contemporary science confirms in many studies, if you exercise regularly, then you can even eat machalim ra'im, junk food.
Yeah. Wow.
But again, I add, I am not advocating that anybody eat junk food. It's just a question of comparing the two.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, very special. So right now in the world, there's a lot of different diets that are being promoted, the keto, carnivore, vegan, but Baruch Hashem, we have the opportunity to interview you, and you are someone that is 93, healthy and fit, Baruch Hashem. How does your diet look like, and what do you think is the ideal diet that a person should be having?
Well, I'll answer first amongst generally accepted diets, the Mediterranean diet, which consists largely of fruits and vegetables, but a little bit of beef, and some drinking a little bit as well, is considered to be amongst the best of generally accepted diets. Personally, my diet consists primarily of fruits and vegetables, mostly raw, and I happen to enjoy them as well, except for fish, which I eat in the form of some smoked salmon locked in the morning with a small piece of bread or a quarter of a bagel or a small bun. And I also have some tuna, a smoked tuna. During the day, I try to have that once a day. On a Shabbos, I have a small piece of gefilte fish. So it's basically fruits, vegetables, nuts, and a little bit of fish. I think it's called a pescatarian diet. If you that fish is primarily for added protein.
Added protein, yeah.
But I also enjoy foods like arbus, which people eat before a bris. It's got a lot of protein for a vegetable, and the fish is a good source of protein, and a healthier one than beef or fowl. But if you can't do that, and Shabbos comes, if you want to make an exception and eat some beef and or fowl on Shabbos, well, one day a week, if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah.
But otherwise, I would advocate trying to find it. And there's so many healthy, tasty dishes that you can make from fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. Yeah. Baruch Hashem, we have so many. Hashem gave us so many vegetables and fruits and things to eat. It's not like we're limited and we can only.
Are you vegetarian?
So I mostly eat plant-based and very similar to you. I'm eating a pescatarian diet with the protein mostly coming from either plant-based or from fish. But on Shabbos, once in a while, I like, because my family wants to have like chicken, but I don't eat any meat. Like red meat.
Right.
And I've read also many books about the blue zones, different places all over the world, and I realized that this makes sense. There's many studies about this. It's not like someone made this up. And that's what I think a lot of people get confused. There's all of these trendy diets that, many of my friends, they send me this, and it doesn't make sense. Like there's this thing going on with the carnivore diet, like eating meat and eating it every day, red meat. And it doesn't make any sense, and there's no case studies about it, and people are promoting it and influencing it. So I think really just getting to the basics, as you mentioned, having a whole food plant-based diet is just crucial to health. Yeah.
There is a diet of the week. Every week there seems to be another diet out there. They become popular very quickly.
Yeah.
Usually because they are diets that on which you can eat just about everything that is forbidden on the healthier and more successful diets.
Yeah.
Every week, and those who follow them swear by them.
Mm-hmm.
Those who don't swear at them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And also, there's another problem. The Shabbos is a special day for the Jew, and now there's a popular book out just now by Charlie Kirk, who, as we know, was murdered a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
The Shabbos. It's becoming a bestseller.
Wow.
It's just on the Shabbos.
It's on Shabbos.
He's a goy.
Incredible. Wow.
Well, obviously he doesn't observe it l'chumrah.
Yeah.
And most of it is that he separates from his telephone.
Yeah.
But it's an excellent book. I read a chapter from the book.
Wow.
I'll have to give you the title. It's worth looking into.
Yeah.
See what a total 100% Christian
Wow.
writes about the Shabbos, and it's becoming wildly popular.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's a gift from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So one way to express thanks is to eat well. And the Shulchan Aruch says the Shabbos is a time, it's a time for Tanug. We talk about Oinik Shabbos, and we want to eat well on Shabbos. If, however, we look back and say, hey, over Shabbos, I gained 12 ounces. Was that really an Oinik Shabbos to gain 12 ounces over Shabbos?
Yeah, and how did you feel afterwards also?
What's that?
And how did you feel after Shabbos as well?
Right. So you have to think back, was it really an Oinik that I had on Shabbos? And if you don't feel well, and you know that, so Shabbos it's also acceptable to eat meat. But if at the end of the Shabbos, Motzoi Shabbos, or Sunday or Monday, the results of that are not so good, then you have to figure out, perhaps I can honor Shabbos by eating healthier on Shabbos.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not a psak halacha. It's just a suggestion that we give some thought about how we eat on Shabbos, how we make an Onik Shabbos for HaKadosh Baruch Hu and for ourselves. And I think we should ask ourselves that question and wonder, is it okay to overeat on Shabbos? Is it really okay? Are we really honoring Hashem and Shabbos by doing that?
Yeah.
It's just a question that I'm asking. It's important, as I said, that we know why, a Frum Jew knows why he's exercising. As I said, it's great if you enjoy it. I happen to enjoy the exercises I do.
Yeah.
I don't feel as well during the day. I don't when I miss exercising. And nevertheless, a Frum Jew must be aware that he cannot fulfill his function as a Jew properly unless he is healthy. Therefore, he has to have the right kavanah. And he stops for just a moment. He should stop before exercising. And he should have kavanah.
Yeah.
Well, how does he have kavanah when he exercises? And what kavanah should he have? He should think, what I am doing is in order to fulfill the wishes of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And what does one do in many mitzvahs before he fulfills Hashem's desire? He says, Hineni muchan u'mezuman. Well, what Hineni muchan u'mezuman are you going to say? You say, Hineni muchan u'mezuman. L'kayim mitzvah d'oraisa. K'moisha kosuv b'Torah. ונשמרתם מאוד לנפשותיכם. Behold, I am preparing myself to fulfill a mitzvah of the Torah, to take very good care of my body. This was a lesson I learned when I was running in Yerushalayim, which I would do very early in the morning, actually, in the late hours of night. And after which I always had a chavrus and learning with the Rav Sholem Shvadron, the Rosh Yeshiva in Yerushalayim, and world-renowned Maggid of Yerushalayim. And we had a chavrus every morning, very early. Now he was an old-time Yerushalmi Jew, and very wise, very witty, and he would travel around the world as a Maggid. Rav Sholem was known as the Maggid of Yerushalayim. And I would have my chavrusa with him after I finished my exercises and before I went to my Nate's early morning sunrise minyan.
Wow.
Well, one morning as I was running in Yerushalayim, still really late at night, it was dark, except for the street lights, I saw coming towards me, none other than Rav Sholem Shvadron. Now, Rav Sholem was a very conservative Jew, small c. And for him to see a mature man running in the streets of the holy city was not exactly what I thought would be received very well. And as I drew near and under the street light, he nodded at me and I nodded back. And when I arrived at my house, my wife says to me, what happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. I said, worse. I saw Rav Shalom. I took my Gemara after I showered, and with trepidation, I walked to his home in Shari Chesed, knocked on the door, and he opened the door to his apartment, which was not what you would call a adorned and decorated in the most contemporary of ways. It was 3.5 walls of Sforim, floor-to-ceiling Sforim.
Wow.
And the rest of the wall, the half wall was devoted to an entrance and an entrance to the second room, the bedroom. And I took my Gemara, I walked through that room, sat down, and I was waiting for him to go ahead and give it to me. After all, when he was a Maggid, he was very powerful at being able to ridicule today's culture, and very successful at it too. So I couldn't wait until he went ahead and got at me. Finally, after what seemed like an hour, but was really not much more than a minute, he said to me, Nu, him beirachta, him amarta hini muchan. Did you say a bracha or say hini muchan? Here, behold, I am prepared, as one does for a mitzvah. I says, you did a mitzvah. I said, what mitzvah? And he said, ונשמרתם מאוד לנפשותיכם. You should say, הנני מוכן ומזומן לקיים מצווה דרייסה, כמו שכתוב בתורה, ונשמרתם מאוד לנפשותיכם. He said, look, he was overweight. He spent his days sitting at his everything table, learning and copying the Torah of his grandfather, the Maharsham, after whom Rav Shalom was named. And when he saw his doctor said he should do some exercise, because if he doesn't do any exercise, it's going to hurt him. His heart and the rest of his body is going to suffer.
Yeah.
So we said, from that time on, I would stop learning roughly and writing roughly every 30 minutes and get up and walk across the room several times. But before I did, each time, I said the Hineni Muchan. So I knew I was doing it, not because out of some way out desire, because my doctor said, I will be healthier because of this. And so he said, I do this religiously. And so should you, he told me. From that time on, I always say a Hineni Muchan before I start exercising.
Wow.
And I feel a lot better because I do.
Wow, that's beautiful. So right now, we saw someone posted in our group that Hatzola, I believe of New Jersey, they posted that there's been a really big uptick in heart attacks, strokes in the Frum community, and they actually posted about it. So for our viewers and listeners, what are some things that they could start today, maybe to take out of their regular day-to-day life, or on the contrary, to put, to have more?
Okay.
Yeah, what should they be
You
doing?
raised a very important point about doing things in an everyday fashion that you do, but do them in an exercise mode. For example, we were all born to exercise. We were given 2 legs, and children at a very young age learn to walk. Everybody knows how to walk. Well, walking is a good exercise on one condition, that it's not just a slow stroll or what people call a Shabbos walk, but you do this knowing that you're exercising. In fact, knowing that, then you can properly say before walking at the Hineni Muchan that you get up, and when you walk, you stand straight and you move your arms back and forth. Let your arms propel you so as to walk as quickly, as vigorously, as energetically as you can. Which means if you can, and you should, raise your arms forward up to and above your shoulder and swing it back to about the level of your shoulder as you're walking. That will propel your walking and turn what is an ordinary walk into a fitting exercise.
Wow. Yeah.
Now, many things that one does. Today, everybody's got a car, or almost everybody. Okay. If you've got a car, you just sit in and go where you want. You're going shopping, you're going to a mall, and you're going to certain stores in the mall. Obviously, everybody wants to get as close as possible to the store you're going to. And I advise, get as far as you can from the store you're going to. Make it a general thing.
Yeah.
If I'm going to the supermarket, go to the exact opposite end, so that you're going to get 2 exercise walks, to and from the supermarket. And if you're traveling by bus, what do? Okay, so you're going to get off ordinarily at X Street. Well, get off at Y Street, which is several blocks before, or at Z Street, several blocks afterwards, and walk that distance. And know that this additional walk, which is taking me a little bit more time to get home or to work or to get shopping, is exercising. And I'm doing it as part of my day. It's not as a special thing. I'm not going to a gym or paying a gym. There are exercises you can do. Now, I can't tell people to pick a shul that's far away to walk to, especially on Shabbos, because you're going to get exercise doing that. We'll get to that in a moment. But what I can tell you is that make the walking to shul a part of what you do, what is called NEAT, which is non-exercise activities. Short, NEAT, N-E-A-T. In going to shul, try to stand and shuckle at times other than Baruch Shamar, Baruch David, and Shmon Esrei. There are certain times, certain parts that's generally best to sit. But one can ask a shaila whether one can stand there as well, at that as well. Make the thing that you do regularly, make it into an exercise activity. For example, I live in a building where there are elevators here. I'm here in this building, this is my 10th year. I've been in the elevator exactly 6 times.
Wow.
To accompany people, generally accompany them out.
Wow.
So that just going up or down several floors each time.
Amazing.
Each time you go, unless it's to the 87th floor.
Yeah.
Then I think you can get ahead to use the elevator. But ordinarily, if it's several flights or one flight, doing that regularly as part of a daily activity adds points. Your body becomes stronger, fitter, you feel better as well, just by going from floor to floor, but doing it the exercise way.
Wow. Yeah, so fitting it into your life in a natural way where,
That's the idea.
Yeah, that's something that, of course, that you mentioned in the book, that there's formal exercise, right? And then informal exercise of, fitting it into your life in a natural way.
Now, in my case, living where I am, Mekor Baruch area of Yerushalayim, I happen to be fortunate. My next door neighbor, my next door neighbor is the world headquarters for the Hasidei Gur, the Ger Hasidim. So that's a place where I go to for my Nate's Minyan.
Oh, wow.
And going there, going up and down the stairs, coming and going, standing as I'm davening, shuttling all the time in my davening, that becomes a daily exercise.
Wow.
Well, what do I do on Shabbos? On Shabbos, the Hasidei Gur don't have a Nate's Minyan on principle. What principle? They're expected to daven with the Rebbe, who does not daven with the Nates. So there is no Nate's Minyan at Gur on Shabbos. So what do? I selected a shul far away in Zichron Moshe, which from where I am takes 20 to 25 minutes each way. And I walk briskly, at least towards it, because it's a very interesting halach in the Shulchan Aruch. It's usher to do exercise on Shabbos. So it's also usher to run on Shabbos, unless you're going to do a mitzvah, unless you're going to shul. So if you're going to shul on Shabbos, it's actually a directive, halacha, you're supposed to run. Now, when I go to shul for the Nate's Minyan on Shabbos, I look around on Malchi Yisrael Street in Gula, Yerushalayim. I see a lot of people going to the Nate's Minyan. I see nobody running to shul. I'm just telling you that according to the halacha and according to the Shulchan Aruch, look it up, it's a mitzvah to run to shul on Shabbos. So that on Shabbos, I'm observing the Shulchan Aruch, but by the way, I'm going to shul and my body is getting an exercise. I got 20, 25 minutes going, 20, 25 minutes coming, which is a pretty good workout. I'm exercising on Shabbos, but in a mitzvahdik way, in a halachic way.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting my workout 7 days
beautiful.
a week.
It's amazing.
I don't go on a machine. I don't go rowing. I don't lift weights. But at the end of the day, Baruch Hashem.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, the book was written because there was a need. It's there to fill a need. There are plenty of books about diet and exercise. I would say probably thousands of books on the subject. You just go to Amazon and say a subject. But there was little or nothing that was really helpful in this field that is directed at observant Jews. And I wanted to write a book so that someone who has a secular education or someone who doesn't could benefit from this. Someone who wants to live his life as a healthy Jew and as a frum, observant Jew. And the book has lots of endnotes. If you don't want to look at them, it's fine. You don't have to go to the back of the book. But if you want to learn more about a specific subject, and you're learning about a study that I write about that thousands or tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of people have been part of, and what the results are. And you also want to know what to do, how to do it. It's worthwhile. I worked several years on the book, and I wanted to change people's lives. And Baruch Hashem, the results have been worth it.
Is there maybe a story that you would like to share, maybe of someone that had a big transformation after reading your book? You don't have to maybe tell if they want to stay anonymous, but if you could just share.
I have had literally hundreds who have contacted me.
That's incredible.
Several people have come to visit me in Israel, but they did not come specifically to see me. But they made it a point that when they were here, so we could talk about the subject. A man and his son were here just a few days ago, from Jews, He had had a heart attack 18 months ago.
Wow.
He was only 53
Wow.
at the time. And he wanted very much to talk with me. And we speak at length. He'd already been exercising at the direction of his cardiologist. And he wanted some help and guidance. And he was just ready and willing to do anything. I've had I mentioned this to you, a Jew from Ashdod, who is a leader in the community in Ashdod, who is very, very overweight to the point of obesity.
Wow.
He read the book in Hebrew. The book is out in Hebrew, Hashomer Gufi Anochi. It's all sold out. And he read the book, and he looked me up, and he came, and he's tried all kinds of things to do, and he wanted directions, and he's willing to pay for it as he does for anyone else. I didn't take any money from him, but we set up a weekly schedule where he would come from Ashdod once a week, and he would spend maybe 20 minutes here, and we would talk. The first thing he would do as he came, ready for him, at this table was a scale, and there's no playing around. The first thing he would do, he'd get on the scale. And he learned to know that before he came here, he should weigh properly, because we marked it down every week.
Wow.
Now, he lost, and not just from exercising, because from a lot of it from noshing. He would get up in the middle of the night, and he would go to the refrigerator and eat like far more than he'd eat at regular meals. This was a nightly thing. So we weaned him of the noshing, the middle of the night wake ups, and he began exercising every single day.
Wow.
And I worked with him for about 7 or 8 months, maybe a little longer. He lost a huge amount of weight, at which point he stopped being a non-paying client of mine. And Baruch Hashem, I would say that worked. And he became fitter. He actually gained muscles. He was able to see.
Wow, wow. That's so special.
So, one story. Baruch Hashem,
Yeah.
there were many stories.
Wow, that's just beautiful to think about all the benefits that he's going to have, but also for his kids, for his family. Something that we were discussing in our group is that the greatest gift we can give our children is our health. Right. What can be greater than that? So that's so beautiful.
And for ourselves.
For ourselves, yeah.
The being close to our children, seeing and living with our grandchildren as they grow and great-grandchildren after them, and setting an example for them. No matter what your age, you stay fit.
Yeah.
My children and grandchildren, not all, I must say, but a large portion of them, the majority of them, do something to stay fit.
Wow.
To an extent that my granddaughter, who's recently married and became a mother not too long ago, is a lifeguard here in Beit Tovei Ha'ir.
Oh, wow.
It comes here every single day.
Wow.
And her mother, who's my daughter-in-law, swims, teaches swimming,
Wow.
and the entire family,
Wow.
they're all swimming.
Wow.
So
you've definitely influenced them.
I'm sorry?
You've definitely influenced them in a big way,
Yeah.
Baruch Hashem.
And I should add, swimming is a great exercise, possibly the best, because you don't have the strains or possible problems which you have with running, where you have like 150, 200 pounds, 150, 170 pounds coming down on one leg, and the next step coming down on the next leg. So running is an excellent exercise. And certainly, I did this as long as I could, just until several years ago. But swimming doesn't have that. You're just fighting against the water. It's a great exercise. I recommend it strongly. I also, and it's a full body exercise.
That's right,
Now, one exercise machine, which is popular, probably the most popular machine, is the treadmill. In fact, you walk into any gym and you'll find that there are usually a few treadmills there, and it gets the best workout of all the machines. We have a small gym here, and we have 5 treadmills. When people use the gym, they're using the treadmill. When people ask me, I tell them, do you want to exercise your legs? If you do, use the treadmill. If you want to exercise your body, use many, many machines, but don't get on a treadmill. Why is that the case? And I say the same thing about the bicycle. Bicycle, you want to exercise your legs, go use a bicycle. But if you want a full body exercise, which is what most people are looking for, avoid the bicycle. Both the bicycle and the treadmill exercise only the legs. You're holding on tight in both cases, on the bicycle and on the treadmill, so you don't fall off. You're holding your whole upper part of your body is stiff. Only the legs are moving. Not only that, more people are brought to the emergency rooms and hospitals in the United States because they fall off treadmills, which is constantly moving as you're on there, than any other reason. Those are statistics, those are facts. So that if you really want a good exercise and a safe one, avoid the treadmill. It's just is not a good full body exercise. The best exercises, I said one is swimming, and the second is the elliptical. In my case, it's an elliptical-like machine. It's a full body, but it's called a ski strider because while the entire body is working, the legs go straight rather than go up and down like a bicycle. Because I have certain problems with my knees, which on an elliptical is more problematic than the ski strider. We can go ahead and take a look at it.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do that. Okay, here. So this is how the morning routine looks like with the Gemara. Wow. Amazing. So Michael, this is something that you do on a daily basis, every morning, right?
6 mornings.
Wow. 6 days a week, incredible. Michael, thank you so much for inviting me to your house and for this interview and for the book. It was really a pleasure. Is there anything that you want, maybe one thing that the listeners and the viewers should take with them from this interview? What should that be?
It should be that ונשמרתם מאוד לנפשותיכם are not just words that are read by a Baal Kriya in shul. Take it seriously as a directive.
I love that. Thank you.